Hong Kong will hold an election on 19th of December 2021 for the upcoming Legislative Council using the new election law together with the new security law that's been enacted last year. As a result, as what been happened in the previous year of 2019. Plus, Hong Kong is not alone in selecting the legislative members in the parliament not chosen by the general population within the democratic society. Before we proceed to the content of the video, I like to make a disclaimer here. This video is purposely for the general information only. No intention to harm or disturb any functioning functions or organization or bodies within the Hong Kong in accordance to the law of the People's Republic of China on safeguarding national security in the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region. Maybe I not should I worry about that because Malaysia has a good relations with China. Fortunate. Historically, Hong Kong inherited British electorate system where the candidate contested in each of the district constituency using the first past the post system. Who got the most vote win. Hong Kong also applied the functional constituency where each chair allocated to the specific industries is run in the city such as finance, banking, manufacturing, retail, logistics, education and social work. Functional constituency roots back to how the City of London, the capital of the United Kingdom, is governed, makes London highly attractive to the industry who have the votes and voices to how the city was run in the daily basis. Before 2019, there were about 70 seats in the Legislative Council. 35 of the seats are area constituency, 30 are for the functional constituency, I mean the industry, and 5 representing the local councils. After what been happened in the Hong Kong for the last 3 years, the sovereign ruler in Beijing decided to revamp the electorate law in order to maintain law and order officially. Because Hong Kong is a devolved government, it is not actually part of the People's Republic of China as a federation, and such, the power of the Hong Kong government is however much the self-rule Beijing willing to give. The new electorate college was revamped by the new law called the decision of the National People's Congress on improving the electoral system of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region, passed on 11th of March during the National People's Congress session in Beijing. In the international study where I have a specialization about, it can be like explained using the constructivism ideas. The book at the back is not really a showcase, it's actually really a true reference that constructivism can be used to explain the relations between the sovereign holder of Beijing and also the devolved power in Hong Kong. The relation based on social constructivism is originated from the writings of the Alexander Wen in the 1980s, where he wrote, quote, "Ideas and belief, not the materials of the numbers, would shape the foreign policy of the country." While another expert in the constructivism, Peter Katzenstein, quote, "What happened within the country shaped the foreign policy of a country," unquote. And it can be true that the reverse policy as well, what happened outside impacting Hong Kong and later impacting policy making in Beijing too, especially China during the time of the presidency of the previous President of the United States, increasingly wary of the United States and European interference, especially during the trade wars and also the social unrest happened on the island a few years before. Under the new electoral law, the number of seats in the Legislative Council has been added up from 70 seats to 90 seats. The allocation of the seats are as follows. So the area constituency, the district constituency has been reduced from 35 to 20, and the functional constituency based on the industry still remain at 30. As such, thank you very much for watching and see you in the next video. Wait, stop. Actually, there are more 40 seats in the Legislative Council, so it's actually who will fill it up. And the remaining 40 seats will be filled by the Electoral College. Electoral College is the collective assembly which its main role usually to select who is the next chief executive of Hong Kong, and it consists of currently 1,500 members, consists of the economic industries, non-profit organization, and of course the member of National People's Congress of the People's Republic of China and China's People's Political Consultative Conference of the People's Republic of China. Yeah, really long. Thus, the election of the new Legislative Council of Hong Kong is as democratic as choosing who is the next boss in your office department or in your restaurant branch. Democracy is for the management but not for the rest of the staff. You really need to accept it. You must accept it. If you don't, by zooming out to the other countries in the world, actually Hong Kong Special Administrative Republic of People's Republic of China is not the only case where there are unelected members of the assembly sit together with the voted elected members in the assembly within a democratic system. Actually, I'm not talking about the upper chamber or senate or house of lords depending on the country, because it already has a limited power compared to the lower chamber or house of common or its equivalent. So right now we discuss about the lower chamber, or if the country only one, of course the single chamber. For example, in Myanmar, 110 out of 440, 25% of the seats in the Pitu Lutau or the lower chamber of the parliament is reserved for the military. But after the February 2021 military coup, parliament was suspended, so doesn't matter. In Egypt, 28 out of 595 members of the parliament are selected by the Egyptian president. Meanwhile, in the African country of Rwanda, 27 out of 80 members of the parliament are selected. 24 members are chosen from the provincial council across the country, which means that the local council, 2 from the youth association representing a youth under 40, and 1 representing a disabled person. Historically, in Indonesia during a Suharto presidency, there were unelected representation of military and police force in Dewan Permusyawaratan Rakyat or People's Representative Council. 100 out of 500 members of the DPR or the lower chamber of the parliament was reserved for the military. However, after Suharto was overthrown during the Asian financial crisis in 1998, the number of the unelected members was reduced to 38. And since 2004, there are no more representatives from the military and police force in the parliament. From 1991 until 2019, 15 out of 150 seats in the Oli Majlis in Uzbekistan was given to the ecological movement of Uzbekistan, officially to represent the green movement of Uzbekistan. Since 2019, the new election law was revamped and ecological party need to contest like other parties in Uzbekistan. And the case of unelected members in the elected chamber are not only limited to the country, it also happened to in the state level or provincial level. In Malaysia, there are a number of states such as in Sabah and Terengganu and Pahang have unelected representative in the state assembly, and the members are appointed by the chief minister. The reason why you ask me? I am more interested in the international politics than the never-ending saga of the local Malaysian politics. If you know the answer, why there is unelected members in the state assembly, adun dilantik, maybe you can write something down below. As a conclusion, the whole revamp of the election in Hong Kong reflected the system traditionally used in London and currently used in Beijing, which is the representation in the assembly is by party and specific group instead of voting by the general population. As been mentioned earlier, there are also other examples of legislators around the world who are not fully represented by the elected members, including in Malaysian states, of course. By using the theory of the social constructivism, what happened in a Hong Kong election was shaped by the sequences and consequences of the event in Hong Kong that happened in the last 3 years, however. But the system is still not a true socialism, because socialism should be a society where everyone is equal to other people as well. As per Karl Marx say, oh yeah, Karl Marx used to live in London at his final years of his life.